Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 to the build series of Time Fox 88. In this video, we are going to cover everything mechanical about this car. Again, not a how-to, but what's here, just to give you a rundown of information and why this car looks the way it does. Let's get into it. In the last video, I talked about these are 18-inch Saline S281 replicas, 18 by 10 and a half, I believe. 265 square, and you'll notice that most Mustang GTs, all Mustang Fox bodies were 4-lug. A lot were with disc brakes. I believe the Cobra was the only one with discs in the rear. Don't hold me to that. I can't remember at this point. So this car does have a 5-lug swap. It is all parts off of a New Edge Mustang, which I believe is 99 to 2004. Gives you those 5 lugs on the front and the back, bigger rotors and stuff in the back. It is still a solid axle car. It is not IRS swapped. It does have, again, the New Edge brake setup. As far as rear end is going to be stock rear end. It is not a lock, not change gears. It does have subframe connectors. I am running Feel coilovers, which are Feel 441s, I believe. This is not the divorce setup, meaning that it does not any longer have a spring and a shock. They are combined into one single unit. Now, due to this fender kit, when you put fenders on, a lot of the times when stuff comes out, it comes up. So this car is static dropped, I believe almost 3.5, 4 inches, which it does not look like it's that low, but it is actually extremely, extremely low. I can still go a little bit further on the feels, but this thing rides, damn near on the bump stop. It rides like a go-kart on rails. It's actually awesome, but at the same time, it's a little race car-ish to drive. So there is the disc brake conversion. I did go with brand new calipers, brand new rotors, all the way around, just for safety versus going to a junkyard. Front rotors look a little bit better. Again, they are no huge disc brake kit. The car's not that fast. I don't need some massive brakes on there. They are bigger and better than what was on there before. So you can see the coilovers right up in there. It does have a Scotty D angle kit on it, which allows to bring the lower control arm out and pitch the wheels completely sideways. Pretty helpful for getting in and out of stuff, turning on tight sections, backing into car shows, all that good stuff. It does cause quite a bit of camber. I might someday get rid of that kit and go back to a regular control arm and then just space the wheel out, a little bit better, so I don't run so much camber in the front. As far as that kind of covers everything from the suspension, the brakes, the rear end. Let's get into the fun stuff. So this is an inline 6 4.0 Barra engine from a Falcon FG imported from Australia. Now, most people might not know this, but Barras aren't all turbo. Everyone's under that assumption that you see a Barra, it's got a big turbo on it. That was not a thing. Just like any other car, they had the turbo ones, the NA ones, and again, I might be wrong, there might be some mumbling here, but the engines, luckily, are the same, meaning you can get an NA or a turboed version, and there is, I believe, practically no difference. There's a ton of content out there covering this, that there's no difference, which is pretty awesome. So it's not like, you get the NA and it's not as good as the turbo version. Now, granted, there's a lot of things you're going to want to do. Same thing on a turbo is change oil gear, pump gears, bigger injectors, that stuff to add power. But luckily, they're the same motor, which is pretty cool. So as far as Barra swaps, when I got the car, I thought that there was a ton of these out there. I thought that maybe there was 1,000 or at least 500. Well, as time goes on and support, for this engine, my questions and stuff came about, there was not any support. And it turns out there's probably only actively 10 to 15 at this point swapped Barras in the United States. And as far as Foxbodies, I believe according to the forums I'm on, I think that there's 4. This doesn't count cars with the motor in it or someone's got the motor. It's running, driving Barra swaps. So this is a big inline 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder. It doesn't produce a lot of horsepower. NA, I believe it's all in kilowatts, but I believe it to be about 230, 240, which puts it about 50, 60 horsepower more than the old 5.0. But in order to put one of these in, and again, this engine bay is not perfect. I have not done much with this. I had planned to do a bunch of turbo stuff that I'm waiting on parts. And then I plan to pull it out, clean it up, make this real presentable. So I don't do a lot of content on this right now, just due to, I want it to look good. But again, it is NA. These are Maximum Motorsports camber plates up here for the coilovers to adjust camber, caster, all that, good stuff that you want to play with your suspension there. To put these in a Foxbody, there's a company called Tough out of Australia. Tough mounts are going to let you, drop that Foxbody, that right into the stock K-member that needs a little bit of modification to go. Transmissions, again, you have a bunch of options, but your number one option is going to be a quick time bell housing, which most car guys know. That's just the round part that attaches to the back of your motor that attaches the transmission. I am running a T5, which is out of these cars. Naturally, they don't handle a whole lot of horsepower. A lot of guys know that. I personally didn't plan on a lot of horsepower. These engines are hard to get, very hard to get parts for. And anything you break, you can't just go to the parts store and pick up. You do have to order it, wait for it. And it is kind of a pain, you need a valve cover gasket. You can't just go up the street to O'Reilly and pay $8, $10 for one. You have to order it. It's going to cost you a ton, and you're going to sit back and just wait for it. So luckily to get these engines, there is a guy named Curtis Greenway out of Oklahoma, which is close to me, that is one of the biggest importers for these motors. He brings over tons of parts, but typically we're waiting on pallets. Right now I'm waiting on a turbo manifold to kind of complete everything. Right now it's running a Bill Hooton harness, which he's very, very popular over in Australia for creating standalone harnesses. This car is running a standalone switch panel cutoff harness, which essentially lets this motor run without, all the other stuff, and the ECU has been flashed to turn off all the codes and stuff like that. So before I make you think that I put this motor in here, I'll get into this in another series, but I bought this car as a project with this motor dropped into it. Someone had given up on it. I was able to get it, which I'll get into the plans where I've had this plan for about 10 years. I did not originally have plans for a Barra swap, but someone had started it, got it started, and there was a whole lot wrong with it, and I was able to buy it as a project, and it was a huge rabbit hole because it is not an easy engine to mess with, work on, find parts for, diagnose issues. You're literally asking someone from across the country to help you with these questions, and it's completely different because they can swap parts, go to the junkyard, go to their friend's house, move stuff around, pull something off of a different car. We don't have that luxury where, power steering pump. I had an issue with the power steering pump. I had to get multiple of those, a couple local from that guy I mentioned before, one sent in the mail. to just swap them out and kind of understand there are a few parts that you can switch on and off from American with retrofitting them, such as alternator with some brackets and some spacing. You can go to an LS style Gen 3 pump. You can go to electric and then reroute your belts, but currently I like running the stock. It is running no AC, and if you've seen in the video, there are some wires that are kind of all over, including these here. I have not cleaned up any of this again because I'm going to pull this out, but a lot of that actually is the factory car harness to the motor. Nothing is active there. It's all just sitting there for the time being without having to cover it up for no reason. Same thing, there's a harness back there that ends in some stuff that, again, is not connected. This car doesn't run any HVAC to need any of that. The battery is located to the rear of the car. I am running a kill switch up there, switch panel interior, so it's power on, fuel pump, fans, start the car. Again, Barras are very cool. They're very hard to get parts for and understand, but they are very simple motors and they do make lots of power. They love boost. Just like anything, you do want to do some head studs and some oil pump gears and such like that. But with that, if you've ever seen one of these, they love being up there in power-wise. So right now, it sounds like a 6-cylinder, naturally aspirated. It's a little loud, it's a little raspy. You know, it's not too terrible, but there is a Barra in a 1988 Mustang GT. This is a stock SVE radiator. These are a Ford Intrepid, or not a Dodge Intrepid fan. Actually, this is an Intrepid fan. I had 2 sets laying around. That fan does work, blows plenty of air, keeps the car actually a little too cool for what I ideally like, but it does work good. Other than that, not much needed modified as far as oil pan that I can see. Again, this motor was in this car when I bought it as a project, so I can't take credit for putting it in, but the amount of work I've done, the stuff I've fixed, I've done about everything but pull this out and drop it back in. So I do know a lot, but I can't take credit for randomly thinking that a Barra would be the best option for a Mustang. You know, ideally my plans were, you know, something different, Coyote, LS, possibly, you know, I thought about an EcoBoost at some point, but it does have 3-inch exhaust dumped all the way out to a muffler, and then it does dump before the axle. But as far as fitment, you know, if you relocate the battery, everything is, it fits really, you know, really well. The Coyote fits, you know, right to the tower. You can't get in there, can't get out the other side, but that is, you know, it's all right because a Coyote, you're not supposed to pull it out, put it in, you're supposed to put it in and just drive it. As far as NA, you do have to go to manual brakes because the intake does suck right up there. So you need to get rid of the booster to bring the reservoir back. So hopefully when I do go turbo, this is going to come out a little bit differently and allow me to go back to hopefully a booster in there, because I am running manual brakes with a Maximum Motorsports drop adjustable pedal, which is not terrible, but it is manual brakes at the end of the day. But there it is. Hopefully next time you see this, you will see some big turbo content. I'm not shooting for a bunch of power. I literally just want it to, you know, pop the hood. Everyone says Barra and turbo, and it makes turbo noises. That's about all I care for, because personally, I don't want to break it because I don't want to wait to fix it. But that's it, guys. Barra 4.0 inline 6 Australian motor. I have an FG 2011 placed in a 1988 Mustang GT Foxbody. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This covers everything from motor, transmission, custom drive shaft, stock rear end, suspension, and brakes.